A while ago, I put a video up talking about 3 notes per string versus caged and the differences between them, the differences between the different philosophies. And when it came to choosing between the two, I said you shouldn't choose between the two, you should learn both. Now, that worried a lot of people because they started thinking, well, does that mean I need to learn twice as many patterns to learn the same scale going up and down the neck? And the answer is no. And I thought what I'd do this week is go through some concrete examples on the neck and show you how you can easily move from caged to 3 notes per string and 3 notes per string back to caged again using some very simple principles. So let's talk about caged to 3 notes per string and why you'd move from the caged philosophy to the 3 notes per string. Well, let's say you're starting from a caged position. You're thinking in a sort of a caged point of view. And this is quite common for me. I play a lot of blues, I play a lot of rock, which means I'm doing a lot with a sort of a pentatonic mindset, if you like. And so caged is a really good way of playing scale notes, but keeping that context, keeping attached to the pentatonic shapes that you play. Now, that's fine if you're playing something which has got this kind of pentatonic focus to it, but let's say you want to move, you want to play a fast run, and so you want to do something with 3 notes per string because that just gives you the agility over the neck that you don't necessarily have for the caged positions. Now, there's one little fragment of information that you really need, which is what I call a bridging passage. And if you learn this little passage, you have all of the tools that you need to be able to move from caged shapes to 3 notes per string scale shapes. And the bridging passage is just this. It's just, if you imagine across 3 strings, you're playing the same shape, and it's 3 notes which are a tone apart. So, for example, I'm playing 9, 7, 5, and then on the string below, 9, 7, 5, and on the string below, 9, 7, 5. So 3 strings with 3 notes, each of them a tone apart. So there's a bit of a stretch there. But that's all you need. That's the only new piece of information that you need in order to turn all of the caged positions into all of the 3 notes per string scale shapes. So let's zoom in and I'll see if I can demonstrate how this will work. Okay, so let's just work our way up the C major scale, going through each caged position, and I'll show you how each caged position relates to the 3 notes per string positions as well. So I'm in C major, I start on the 5th fret, so this is, if you like, the root position, pentatonic scale position, and the caged scale looks like this. So hopefully you can see that there are 2 notes on the D string and then 3 notes everywhere else. So let's see how we play through that. So starting from the top E string, 3 notes, that's fine, 3 notes, 3 notes. So those strings are identical in the caged scales or the 3 notes per string scales. So when you get to the D string, you've got 2 notes. And what we do is we take advantage of that bridging shape. And if you remember, that bridging shape is just 3 notes that are a tone apart on 3 consecutive strings. So 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes. And you can see that I've completed the scale. So I've gone all the way across using that bridging shape, starting from where there were just 2 notes on a string. And that's all I needed to do to turn this caged position into a 3 notes per string scale shape. So let's see if it works the other way then. Let's see if it works ascending. So the caged position looks like this. 2 notes on the D string. And there's the strings above. So let's go up again. 3 notes, 3 notes, 2 notes. So we use that same bridging shape, but in an ascending way this time. So we do 3 notes a tone apart, 3 notes a tone apart, and between the G and the B string, because it's tuned to a major third rather than a perfect fourth, we have to do a little kink in the shape. But otherwise it's still that same bridging shape that we know. So 3 notes a tone apart. And what you'll find as well is that the bridging shape actually takes you from this first position of the CAGED scale to the next position. So now I'm actually in the E position. Do you see that? So moving back across again from the G, we do an ascending line, and here we use a bridging shape, and that takes me to the next position up, which is E, and I finish the scale off. So again, I've just turned a CAGED scale into a 3 notes per string scale. Well, let's try the next position up, see if this is a fluke or not. So the next position up looks like this. It's the E scale, E shape. So there's the descending shape. And the 2 notes is on the B string. And we do exactly the same thing. So descending, 3 notes, 2 notes. So let's use those as the first 2 notes of that descending bridging shape. And then when we come out of the bridging shape, we're in the next position down of the CAGED. And that finishes off the scale. So you can see I've just turned that E position into a 3 notes per string scale shape, just using this bridging pattern. How about ascending? So let's play this E position ascending. So again, the tricky part is the B string where there are 2 notes. So we use the bridging shape again. And you can see it finishes off into a 3 notes per string scale shape. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, next position up is the D position, and that looks like this. See if it works. So there's my CAGED scale. And I've got 2 notes on the A string. So we follow the same rule. We take those 2 notes and we use a bridging shape instead. So we play 3 notes, each a tone apart, and then 3 notes, each a tone apart, and that finishes my pattern off. It's as simple as that. How about ascending? Well, we start from the bottom. On the E string it's 3 notes, on the A string it's 2 notes. So we use the bridging shape in an ascending mode. So that's 3 strings with 3 notes, each a tone apart. And that carries me to my next position up, which is the C position. And so I just play the C position to finish the scale off. So it's moving me between the D position and the C position. Hopefully you can see that. And just the same with the C position, let's do exactly the same thing. So C position descending normally looks like this. And the 2 notes is on the G string. So instead of playing 2 notes, I use the bridging shape. And then that takes me to the position below, and I finish off the shape. So hopefully you can see that this one rule is consistent across all of the shapes. Let's do the C shape ascending. 2 notes on that G string, so let's make a 3rd note and turn it into that bridging shape. Now it's going between the G and the B string, so we need that 1 fret offset, but otherwise it's just the same as before. Okay. So that's that position. Now the next position is a little weird. You can play it three ways. It starts with two notes and finishes with two notes. So you can treat this in one of three ways. The first way is to, in a descending way, you assume, okay, there's two notes on that string, so let's use a bridging shape to start with that little one fret offset between the B and the G string, and that takes me down to the C position, and that finishes off the scale. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is to realise that this position is pretty much a three notes position scale shape if we just extended one note. And ascending, you can do the same thing. You've got two notes on the low E string for the shape. So you can either play the two notes as a start of the bridging pattern, and then you're moving from that A position up to the G position. So the bridging pattern moves me from one position to the next, and I just use a G pattern from here on in. Hopefully you can see that. So there you have it. Hopefully that's shown you how just understanding that one simple fragment is all you need to turn your caged positions into three notes per string scale positions. It's as simple as that. So how about going the other way then? Starting with three notes per string and wanting to play more caged like. Well, to start with, you need to understand why you would want to do that. And the main reason why you would want to do that is to re-establish the pentatonic positions, to re-establish in your head this kind of interlink between the scale notes that you're playing and the pentatonic positions that you want to play over the top of, because that really is the essence of what CAGED is about. And so if you start with that mindset, then that really is all you need. If you start to establish in your head, okay, these are my three notes per string scale shapes, this is the cage, this is the pentatonic area and the pentatonic shape that I want to play these scales in context with. If you keep that in your head, then really you have all you need in order to turn three notes per string scales back into a cage scale. So let me see if I can demonstrate. So let's turn a three notes per string scale position into something that's much more caged like. And for me, caged is much more about that philosophy of keeping the scale tones that you're playing in touch with the underlying pentatonic pattern that you're playing and the underlying chord that you're playing. So, for example, if I'm playing in C major again, there's my three notes per string scale shape, and underneath that it's sitting across two pentatonic patterns. It's sitting across one just here, the first position pentatonic that everyone knows, and the one behind it just there. So when I'm moving from thinking in a kind of a three notes per string scale way to something that's a bit more caged-like, what I'm doing is I'm deciding which pentatonic box I'm going to sort of associate my scale with. So let's say it's going to be this root position pentatonic. And so I'll start playing the three notes per string scale shape. But you'll find that scale starts to drift, move diagonally, as you can see it doing here, and it's moving further and further away from this root position pentatonic scale shape that I want to keep in contact with. So what I like to do is when I start to feel myself drifting out of scale position, I just play a little two note shape on the next string, and then that puts me back into position again. And actually, I'm really not very slavish about this sort of finger per fret positioning that I know a lot of cage positions are built on. When you play a lot of 3 notes per string scale, as you develop a good stretch, you can make that. You can make that 3rd, 5th, 7th type stretch really quite easily. So you really don't need to be too bothered about keeping a finger per fret. And what I actually like to do is to just break position a little bit. When I'm in this root position, for example, of the pentatonic, your first finger tends to track that fret. And I dislike in the sort of the orthodox cage position the fact that my first finger's drifting back to the fret behind that fret that we're tracking. So what I often do is play 2 notes on the G string and then stretch it. And that keeps me nicely anchored to this first position pentatonic. But it's still following that kind of cage philosophy, which is really the whole point of it from my point of view. So that's it. Hopefully that's helped you. Hopefully that's shown you how easy it is to move from cage to 3 notes per string back to caged again. And that's entirely what I'm doing when I'm improvising. I'm not in one philosophy or in another philosophy. It just depends on my mood. It depends what I'm playing. It depends whether I'm trying to be more pentatonic in my sound or whether I'm trying to be more sort of fast and furious over the neck, as to whether I'm using 3 notes per string patterns or caged patterns. And it's as simple as that. So hopefully that was as useful for you, and we'll chat next time. Goodbye.